Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Today, I eat crow over a narrative that I peddled about Kirk Cousins.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings, and I have a devastating confession to make.
Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. I learned Kirk Cousins is just like all of us because he spends 8 hours at Barnes & Noble with a Starbucks coffee looking for buy one, get one half off deals.
This is Arif Assad with Pro Football Network. I am such a dedicated journalist that I took the time to look at every single book Kirk Cousins was buying in that Barnes & Noble.
No way.
This is the Kirk Cousins episode, and this is the Minnesota Football Party.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Pro Football Network's Arif Hassan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talk's Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
Happy Thursday. Welcome to today's Minnesota Football Party on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Vikings talk for the next hour. Plenty of Kirk Cousins talk for the next hour. We've all been binging the Netflix show Quarterback. We're going to break it all down. Ron Johnson joins as well, and we're going to get into a bigger conversation about Kirk's popularity now in this market. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook partner of Locked On. Make every moment more. Go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Please subscribe to us, folks. We are on YouTube. We are free. Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel, free and available wherever you listen to podcasts, and that includes the SiriusXM app, your Roku devices, Amazon Fire, all of that. Many ways to watch and listen to Locked On Sports Minnesota. I am 5/8 of the way through Quarterback, the Netflix documentary. Let's give the status update. How far in are we on this doc that only dropped yesterday? Luke Inman, how's your binging been?
Yeah, I'm on episode 6 as well. 3 episodes left. I'm right there with you, Sam.
Arif.
Let's take a look. I have 7 minutes remaining before I finish the whole thing.
Wow, very nice. Luke Braun.
I said in the beginning I have a confession to make. I've misled you all. I actually watched it weeks ago.
Oh.
So
What?
I knew everything when we did bingo and was actively trying to sabotage that.
Whoa.
Are you kidding?
Hold on.
So you tainted the whole exercise? What have
I tried.
What have you
I'm
done?
so upset about the purity of the bingo.
Purity
What have
of the
you
bingo
done?
game.
So I tried not to specifically to not taint the exercise by saying a couple, throwing a couple misleading things out there, throwing a couple things that maybe are right, but wouldn't throw off the scent. The thing is, the person who connected me with it could get in a lot of trouble if I spoiled anything before it came out.
Well, we
So
appreciate
I'm
the
trying
honesty.
really hard
Manning?
not to do that.
Did
Yeah,
Peyton
we
Manning give
appreciate
you
the
the
honesty.
extra?
Yes, Peyton
Yeah,
Manning
Manning.
specifically.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that it's like when you cheat on a test, you can't give yourself a perfect score. You got to give yourself an
Yeah.
A minus.
Yeah, I gotta
Can't be
throw.
too obvious.
Yeah, and if I just said so much crazy wrong stuff, I felt like it would have been too obvious.
Okay. All right.
Hold on. Wait, Luke, would I cheat on a test? I never cheated on a test. But if I were to cheat on a test,
Sure.
I play to win.
Play this. Well, nobody would second guess. Oh, Reef got a perfect score.
No, okay, you do have to
yeah.
establish a baseline so that
Right.
that makes
right.
sense.
The
I
bar
got it.
is so
Teach your mean.
low
Teach
when
your
I'm
mean.
coming in.
So Luke Braun had to establish a baseline of not being able to perfectly predict what's going to happen. And that makes sense.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So let me get this out here. This is going to be a spoiler alert show. Not all of you are cheaters like Luke Braun or as obsessed as Arif, Inman, and I. So there will be spoilers. If you don't know how the Vikings ended their season, please stop listening now. If you don't know how the Chiefs ended their season, please stop listening now. It would be very
I guess
disappointing.
a general advice, probably just stop. Everybody, just stop listening now.
Yeah.
But please actually keep listening. First let's do some overarching takeaways. Then we will update the Kirk Cousins bingo card that we put together on Monday, which has now been tainted, but we'll go over it anyway. All right. Big picture takeaways. Luke Inman, you're 5'8" to the way through. What do you got?
Here's my 3 big bullet points. First of all, I thought the team psychologist was really cool. I did not think we were going to get a behind-the-scenes look at that. That was pretty eye-opening. Just as far as, the measures Cousins and the Vikings, hopefully the entire NFL are taking just to make sure players have this professional help at their fingertips whenever they need it. When it comes to mental health, obviously that's been such a huge priority over the last 5 years or so. Just be able to talk to somebody about the stresses of being a player in the NFL, let alone a quarterback, no less, because there's only 31 other guys in the world who can relate to you. So I can't imagine just how crucial it is to be able to talk to a professional on hand to talk through some things like that. So the team psychologist angle, I thought that was one of the bigger bullet points that I really took away. Number 2, everybody's been talking about it on Twitter, but the big hits. I mean, just how rough a shape, how many dings he had throughout the year and how well he hit it. And just the fact that he was able to, stay consistent, find a way to continue to be on the field, regardless of how many big hits he took that carried over week to week. That was pretty impressive. And then the third thing, how much he was swimming in that playbook right away. Like, watching a guy like him and the new weekly game plans week to week, all I could think about was, man, first of all, Jaron Hall, a rookie, should not see the field in 2023 because if Kirk Cousins is still swimming mid-season, I can't imagine a kid with zero experience is going to be able to come in and just have a smooth transition. But the Arizona Cardinals game, right? Like that Johnny Munt touchdown, Kirk didn't even call the play right. He didn't even remember the term.
Yeah, why whatever?
That rule, that was the most
that was so sick
of the entire show for any of the quarters, honestly.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Mariota just kind of dipping, that was pretty human, I'll be honest. I get it. But Kirk Cousins being like, look, everyone knows what this play is. I don't get it. We're fine.
Right. Why you do what you do? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Why whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, and then even, a step further going in the weeds, like just hearing all 3 quarterbacks speak the terminology and plays of the playbook. I love that kind of stuff. I mean, the terminology and the lingo, it's just, it's kind of comical, but also so impressive that they can memorize that. Especially you think about guys who do have a new coordinator every offseason, a new playbook every year. Kirk was drowning in that playbook, though, especially right away. You heard him say it a few times. I've got so much work to do during practice. He would mention that to a coach or, somebody on the sidelines. It just speaks to, if you're a quarterback playing in this league, you cannot just rely on being an athlete, right? The athleticism. Like some guys can get away with that in college. At the NFL level, it's just not going to work. So those were the 3 big bullet points. I got some other small notes and things that I thought was comical. Like, we've seen it before, but just to dust back up the Cousins choir video, that was gold. Kind of forgot about that.
Yeah,
how about
classic.
Kirk calling a quarterback sneak on his own during the Bills game? I mean, reliving that Bills game was pure magic as well. So those were the 3 big takeaways, though, Sam.
Yeah, I think Kirk showing how hard he works to make up for his athletic deficits was fascinating. Like all the effort he puts forth.
Only someone had written about that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is so hard to imagine, like every young quarterback that comes into the league having the ability to do that, right? Like if that's actually what it takes to be a quarterback in the NFL, I can see why so many guys flop. It's unbelievable. Arif Hassan, big takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that I kind of took away is how he actively struggles with beating himself up, right? It doesn't show up all the time in every episode. It doesn't, but it feels like it's an undercurrent. I don't just mean like the moments of the team psychologist. I agree that was pretty cool. We have to remember, of course, that like that's the part of the session that's televised. So it's like that's not like a real session.
Yeah.
But it reflects probably a lot of the things that Cousins is going through. And there was just like a moment. There's 2 moments that stand out. One is that overthrow of KJ Osborne, where Osborne was like wide open to the left. I already forgot what game it was.
Detroit week 4.
Yeah, Detroit, yeah. And it was just, they won the game, and it was haunting him for like the rest of the week, right? He was like up at night thinking about that one throw, right? And there was another one later in the season. I wish I had written down specifically like what it was, but like he was beating himself up for just like being like a foot off. And I don't mean the one at the end of the of the big loss that he was like of the Giants game, the playoff game. Which
was
he
it
does
the Colts
recount.
game that first half when he missed Jalen Reagor? Rager broke on the route or something like that.
No, he wasn't beating himself
Reagor
up
for that.
Yeah.
He was mad at Reagor. That was pretty clear to me. No, there was just another moment where he was just going over his mistake again and again. It's just like another foot, just like another yard or whatever, right? If I had just done this a little bit differently, and I think it was the assistant quarterback coach had to just snap him out of it. He's like, "Well, you can't change that, right?"
Yeah.
And I think that's just like he. I think that's like a pretty consistent thing that he has to be really active about, right? He has to be active about making sure that he can reset himself, which I think kind of precipitates all this other odd behavior, a lot of which personally, I don't know him, obviously. He knows himself better. But personally, it feels a little bit unnecessary. But I think that is the reason he engages in a lot of this really, I think, unusual behavior, having like a brain team, right? That, works on his focus, having like, I think all of that. And I think that goes back to, if you like read the book that he wrote coming out of Michigan State before he had played for Washington, it goes back to that he's always felt that he's on a razor's edge, that he's never going to be inherently good enough. And so he has to work himself a lot. The fact that he countered that by making it mandatory that he has Tuesdays to himself, I thought was huge. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
So there's that. Other takeaways. You cannot hide how big of a dork he is. He's always a dork. You can't. That's just who he is, and it's fine that he embraces that. But we have to acknowledge that he's an even bigger dork than any of us realize. Like when he was trying to do the lightsaber thing, like one of the calls, one of the checks was Saber, and he's like, you can just do it like a lightsaber. And it's like, all right. Or like he wouldn't stop saying turducken, like he had just.
That was great.
What that was.
He was
like,
so
How hot do we think that turducken was when he got it?
It's so typically, and this might change from network to network, but I've heard that most of the time the Thanksgiving turkey that they serve is just ice cold.
Yeah.
And he ate the whole thing.
Well, Jefferson
How about
spit it out.
That's a terrifying man.
Yeah. How about the shot after that Patriot game, Thanksgiving game, where KOC is doing his passionate 90-second speech. He's about to give him a game ball, and all they got is a shot on Kirk, and he's just staring at this turducken sandwich. Like him and this sandwich are the only two people in the room, and he's just.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, if only my wife looked at me like that.
It totally makes sense to have never had turducken, right? I've never had it, but he was like fascinated by the concept. It was the first time he had ever heard of it. I have heard that other networks, because typically it's the past couple of years it was CBS doing the Thursday night Thanksgiving game. If I want to say correctly, I don't know.
NBC has had it for most of the years.
I mean, because because it's like a Monday night or something like that, Sunday night product on Thursday Night Football, something like that. Yeah. And so that's always cold. But I was told that like when Fox or CBS has turkeys at the game, that they tend to serve them a little bit warmer. So that. It might be a little bit different, but still, I think that it's funnier if it's cold, and he was still just going to town on this cold 3-meat just roast. So there's that. I like the moment where KOC was like, okay, we can't get frustrated here. And Kirk was like, oh, I'm frustrated.
Yeah. Oh, I'm frustrated.
Was that the Colts
those
game?
against the Colts.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Colts game.
Oh man, he was
point,
mad in that
he was big mad.
Wait, it's like it's very clear, like he understands that most of this is not his fault.
Right. Yeah, no, it was like totally fair to be mad in that because he was mad at like Jalen Reagor for running the wrong route.
We're down 30
punt block. Like, what happened?
Yeah, that was the hardest. He slammed that helmet down consistently, time after time when he went back to the bench.
I thought the helmet might have, but that was crazy.
Yeah. To your point, just about him getting down on himself. Very interesting to see the relationship Kevin O'Connell and just the time he spends trying to pull Cousins out and into those better mindsets, and him eventually evolving and saying, you know what, I think I figured him out a little bit more.
Yeah,
I gotta let him just blow this steam off for 3 minutes.
Let
I
him
can't
go
get
through
right
the
in his
cycle,
face.
and then I can talk to him. I can't overcoach him.
Exactly.
That's cool. I think that's a sign of a really good coach.
Yeah, that's really
No,
cool.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Also,
even when he was like, did you call that quarterback sneak? He's like, yeah, I did. Sorry, man. He wasn't so much mad that he had the guts to call it, but he's like, you got to let me know so I can put you in a better position. I can call the right formation or the right line, whatever I need to do to help you succeed.
There was a moment where he mentioned that Cousins could have, like, he was just like, hey, I wanted to call a timeout. And he doesn't harp on that, right?
Yes.
He was just like, hey, well, the reason that I wanted us to interact here is because I want to say, like, it wasn't like, hey, man, I can't believe you do that. Next time, you just got to check in with me, or hey, we know that we can't do that, or hey, I was trying to call timeout. You realize that I was trying to call time. Like, he didn't harp on that. He was just like, oh, okay, well, you didn't know I was trying to call a timeout. Now you know. The reason I want us to have this kind of interaction in a moment like this is because we have the time to, like, set you up for success. It was I thought it was really good.
That was great. Yeah, KOC and Kirk's relationship over the season, how it grew, was kind of cool to watch. How about the Miami game when he's talking about how ticked off he was, and he can't speak to KOC through the headset, and so he's yelling, single high safety, and
man
he comes back, and KOC just goes, you need to calm down, dude. And he's like, wow, okay. If coach is telling me I got to calm down like that,
how about
I
that scouting report that Don Cousins wrote for 14-year-old?
So good.
That is crazy.
The fact that it's the same.
Yeah, and he's like, the weaknesses where I need to be a more vocal leader and I've got bad footwork, which, you know, if you ask the Vikings, that's still true.
Oh, that's funny.
And that probably counts as our Don Cousins appearance, that right? At least thus far.
It has to, yeah. So I marked it down.
Seen.
I know that's like
let's get to it in just a
marginal.
second. Braun, we haven't gotten to you really yet. What's some stuff that you took away?
We talked about a lot of the stuff I found super interesting, but the thing we haven't gotten to yet is the pain that he was in, the hits that he took were kind of what stuck out to me. And
yes,
in particular, the way that he managed that, and in getting frustrated about it, which is totally fair, but also the process of how he, the people he brought in to work on that particular injury, how he tried to get through that. It was funny. We were talking about it on Monday and toughness and how injury there is a luck to it, but you can kind of see the reason that Cousins could play through something like that. I don't know if every quarterback in the league plays all 17 last year, but Cousins did. That's like pretty impressive.
Yeah, the effort and energy he puts into being durable and being available is wearing as impressive as any other quarterback in the league, in my opinion. After seeing that behind the scenes,
this is my biggest takeaway, and this is where I eat crow. This is my tease to open the show. I claimed to say that, well, Kirk Cousins, it just kind of has the makeup where he just doesn't get hurt. Like, Kirk Cousins has the ability genetically to absorb this stuff, and he doesn't really get hurt like other guys. I was wrong. I don't think you're wrong, Sam. I think that the way it expresses itself is a little bit different than how you thought, but he did not show up on an injury report at all last year. Right.
Like,
no, right. And I don't know. Some of that is a little bit, I think, of a game that teams play.
Of course, a lot of that has
not trying to let Bill Belichick know he's got
just
sore ribs.
It's more like more credit to his process than just something like innate to him. It's there. Right. There is a method to it,
but it's important to, like, if you don't show up on an injury report and you did not participate in all of practice, the NFL usually has a pretty good way of finding out because they pull game tape footage or practice tape footage to see if players practiced the whole. And if a player did not practice the whole thing and they did not show up on the injury report, even if they weren't injured, the NFL levies fines. So he did. The practices.
He did
all of the practices.
He did not miss a beat.
Yeah, and I think that there are other quarterbacks that would not have done that just purely because of, like, the ability to push through that kind of pain. That's true. But I also think that, like, when you're a guy suffering from bruised and cracked ribs, your ability to manage your body or the inherent gifts that you have, they give you kind of durability or things like nutrition or pliability or whatever, right? Whatever the process is. And I think that there is probably something genetic that plays a role here, makes it so that Cousins does not aggravate those injuries or that those injuries don't end up being more severe than they already. I think that you're still right, Sam. It's just we see what that looks like now, and it's just like, oh, but that doesn't make it easy. It's extremely painful.
Yeah, the Buffalo game just took on a whole new life for me watching that.
Sure.
And Cousins was in so
it
much
seems
pain.
like he wouldn't have been able to
It's a legacy moment to me,
drive.
I think.
He couldn't celebrate with his team. Like he was like gingerly like hugging guys. He didn't want them to like hug him too hard after the game. Like that's how much pain he was in.
He couldn't talk. Adam Thielen came back to the sideline and go, did that nickel drop off me right there? He goes, dude, I don't know. I can't right now.
He just had to like take a second.
It's like because that final, because what the Vikings kicked a field goal and the Bills had an opportunity to respond or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, if the Bills kick a field goal, I don't know if I can go. He didn't say that exactly, but the feeling was basically like, there's no chance I'm going to be able to go out there.
And that spoke volumes too. Sam and I talked about this morning about why they fell off versus Dallas too, like the following week as well.
Right.
I think that plays.
And the fact and bouncing back then to beat New England was a little bit more the same. He aggravated it against New England through the game-winning touchdown. And I mean, maybe we'll ask him about this at training camp. Like, what was the diagnosis on that? And if he's willing to share, did he have broken ribs? What was he playing through? I think that's it. Honestly, does give last season a whole new perspective for me. What he had to go through, super impressive. I do want to point out though that how did this show not highlight Kirk Chains? How did they skip that?
They didn't skip it.
They gave it a little bit. At least the part I saw. Yeah.
When did
it was talking to the kid, right?
Maybe you're not to it yet, but
maybe I'm not. Yeah, I might not be.
There's a whole little montage on Kirk Chains, so you might not be there yet.
Can I just say, I think it was episode
chronologically
4.
They skipped it.
Can I just say real quick?
They did not go in perfect order too, because they went and did like they went back to the Arizona game, like
and all three quarterbacks are on a different timeline for the show. So they are doing Arizona week 4 at the same time they are doing Vikings week 9, because the show was more concerned about like the thematic, movement for every episode.
Right. They lumped the homecomings together not based on chronology, just like they wanted to tell those three stories together.
They linked all of the you're playing through pain stories together. All of that. So
speaking of that Cardinals game, I think it is episode 4. Just one of the most genuine, cool, funny moments. The Kirk TD scramble and seeing KOC's reaction on the sideline, just like the rest of us and everybody else, 70,000 in the What the F was that? Just smiling though, ear to ear, like
Did that just get out of bounds? Get out of bounds! Oh, don't like
what the F?
No,
was
no,
that?
no, yes,
yeah.
No, yes is usually reserved for like Favre type quarterbacks. You don't use
Mike Holmgren.
Yeah.
That's so good. Let's quick dive back into the goal line sneak. So let's remember the play preceding this was the Dalvin drop with a penalty on the Bills. So how does the next play go off without some KOC input? I don't understand.
Wasn't that a lack of
the
penalty?
Clock running or something after this?
No.
If I remember.
No, Dalvin dropped it.
Or was that overtime when there was the 12 men on the field that didn't?
Dalvin dropped the ball at the goal line, would have been a touchdown.
Oh.
Bills were offside, which gave them a second chance on 4th down.
Oh, okay.
So Cousins calls the sneak. But how does that sneak go off without KOC in his ear, especially when there was a penalty on the previous play? That process shows Kirk's autonomy, but
like
it was
Cousins
crazy.
Didn't hear him. Like when KOC
snap, no?
I think Cousins just said, "Screw it, I'm calling this. We're going to quick snap them," and they just got out of the huddle so fast.
I think that's exactly it. So I think what happened was, based off of watching that episode, I think what happened was, as soon as they had another chance, right, Cousins was like, "Fine, we're just gonna do it," right, and he just calls the play to everybody. And they line up. And at the time, it sounded like, based off of what KOC said afterwards, it sounded like KOC was screaming in his ear or something, and Cousins just wasn't registering it. Because, at some point, everything is noise, right? And it's like the late fourth quarter, and stress is high and all that. Which is why KOC was like, I was trying to tell you, I wanted to call a timeout. And
that goes back to earlier in the game. He's just getting rocked so much and just drained physically and emotionally. Guys are coming to the huddle and trying to talk to him about things he's seen defensively, and he's like, "Dude, I got no extra gas in the tank right now. I can't do it."
Yeah. Also,
and he's like, "Screw it. Let's just do a quarterback dive." And again, KOC wasn't even mad. He was just like, "Next time, I just want to set you in the right position, the best position possible."
I'm pretty sure he was mad. I just think he does a good job of not expressing.
Okay, fair enough. But he was also like,
hey,
you can go up and over. You don't need to go like,
right.
You just go up and over, dude. If you're gonna do that,
that is a completely unhinged move, by the way, in a game where you are in so much pain, you like can't even like hear what people are saying to you to be like, QB sneak for the game. Like,
call my number. That's crazy.
Number when you're in that, like, that's insane.
It is important to note, though, that the show was produced in a way to attempt to not make anybody look bad at all.
Oh, for sure.
Right. And so one thing to remember is that microphones turn off in helmets a lot more often than I think people realize. And we don't talk about it that much, and it doesn't show up in these documentaries that much because it makes the NFL look bad. It's not because anyone's cheating. And very often they have procedures in place to make sure that if somebody's microphone doesn't work, then they make sure that nobody has an advantage. I'm not saying that there's anything nefarious, but I'm saying that there is the possibility that, and there's no evidence. I'm not saying that that's what happened, but there's the possibility that the microphone in his helmet wasn't working at that moment either. But they don't ever want to bring that up because it makes it look like, that there's something that could influence the outcome of games that players are not in control for, and the NFL just kind of hates that. And though this was not produced by the NFL, it's very clear that they worked in cooperation with the NFL. They have a bunch of NFL films footage, right? A lot of the mic'd up stuff is not stuff that's from their own mics. It's from NFL films mics. Mm-hmm. And so kind of having that cooperation probably means that they're trying to do stuff that doesn't make the NFL look bad.
That is it's a great
also,
point.
Like Peyton Manning wouldn't. Yeah. Like Peyton Manning is going to make the quarterbacks look good. That's the whole point.
Yeah, so for people unaware, the two production companies associated with this are Omaha Productions, Peyton Manning, and 2 PM Productions, Patrick Mahomes.
FanDuel first, and then Ron Johnson joins us. FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook partner of Locked On. You can bet baseball at FanDuel. Starting tonight again, the All-Star break is over. Twins are back tomorrow. You can wager on the World Series winners as well. It's all at FanDuel. Hundreds of ways to wager. Hey, Wimbledon is still going on as well. Great new promotion right now. Get 10 times your initial wager if you're a new customer in bonus bets back. For example, bet 20, get 200 in bonus bets, whether you win or lose. It is safe, secure, very easy to use, that FanDuel Sportsbook app, and you get paid instantly when you win. So get to FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim those $200 in bonus bets if you lay down 20 with your initial bet. FanDuel.com/lockedon. No better place to bet baseball than America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. Ron Johnson joins us now on the Minnesota Football Party. He's the host of the Ron Johnson Show on Twitter at 3Ron Johnson. He joins us every Thursday. Ron, we've been discussing the Netflix documentary for most of the show. Have you gotten a chance to watch any of it yet?
I have not. I have kids, so no. I've not even thought about it. Not gonna lie.
All right. Well, that's all good. Well, I'm curious, in kind of stemming from the documentary, Kirk Cousins is obviously a big talking point from this doc, right? And it got me thinking just about his overall popularity and approval rating in this market right now. Which direction do you think the arrow is pointing? Do you think Kirk Cousins is getting more popular as his tenure goes on here in Minnesota? Do you think it's kind of plateaued? Where do you think the public is at with Kirk Cousins right now?
You mean in Minnesota or now?
Yeah. Let's go locally in Minnesota. What do you think his popularity is?
Nothing. Nothing's changed. He hasn't won a Super Bowl. Like, that's the thing about Minnesota fans. They don't care how much people love you, how often you take your kids and put them to bed and take them to Disney World. If you can't beat the Giants on 4th down, the Vikings fans don't care. Like, so I think it's the same polarizing. Some people hate them. Some people love them. Some people are ready to move on from them. So I honestly don't feel like anything's changed. I mean, we're around it, so we see the differences in them now compared to Mike Zimmer, but I don't think the fans care. I think until they win a Super Bowl, that's what's going to matter.
Fair enough. Luke Inman, what do you got?
Yeah, Ron, if NFL Films or like Netflix said, hey, we want to do another doc series, and this time we're going to pick a team and pick 3 guys to build the story around, say they pick the Vikings, which 3 players would you pick to follow around for the year and make a documentary and series about? Which 3 guys would be the most compelling for you or entertaining? What do you think?
I'd say it has to be Justin Jefferson, 1. You got to do just Kirk Cousins because he's Kirk Cousins. And then from there, it depends. Like, Danielle Hunter doesn't talk a ton, so I'm not sure if I would want him on there because I don't know how much he would give you. I don't really know Byron Murphy if he's a talker. We don't know if a Caleb Evans is going to be it. So I'm trying to think of a defensive guy. Harrison Smith doesn't say much either. So it would be interesting. I don't know. I think Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, easy 1 and 2. 3, I mean, honestly, it might be KOC. I think they might just have to follow the head coach and see what his life is about.
Mm-hmm. Like it.
I'm thinking about all of just still thinking about the documentary. There's a lot about the pain that quarterbacks go through and pain management and stuff. I'm wondering, in your time, what's the worst you've been hurt, and what was the process like to manage that?
Well, I mean, I had my finger completely broke out the skin and ripped sideways, and so I had to get rushed to the emergency room. They had to put it back together. Had surgery, had to wear a cast the last couple of games. I had 3 fingers break out the skin after a punt block before we played Wisconsin. So honestly, it's some people can deal with pain, some people can't. It's not really. I wouldn't call it pain management. I would more say some people can deal with it and some people can't. Like, a lot of people don't go back out on the field and say they're hurt. But I know coaches would always say, are you hurt or are you injured? You know, like, are you hurting or is it actually injured? And I think that's the big difference. But for me, it was that. It was having fingers. I mean, I had a meniscus tear. I played 6 games on that. It was painful, but at the same time, it's like, look, I'm 1 of 4 receivers. I got to go, and that's just the mindset I had. I'm not saying it's the right mindset to have because now, like, years later, I'm still dealing with knee injuries and knee pain from going through that, where it was supposed to be a 1 week, 2 week surgery with a 2-3 week recovery. It took like 6-7 weeks to come back after the surgery because of how much I ripped it up playing on it. So you just don't know right or wrong. But I mean, in the moment, as a gladiator, you just go out there and do it.
Ron, I think one thing that we all kind of learn from like documentaries like this, not that you saw this one, but I think that it's kind of an important thing to bring up is that, you know, a lot of us, you know, watch football every Sunday. We see kind of like the physical exertion and all that. We understand that there are these remarkable feats of athleticism, and that's obviously all very important. It's critical to the game. But one thing that I think a lot of people are watching quarterback taking away is how much of the game is mental. Obviously, for quarterbacks, it's very true. But you see, you know, players in team meetings. Team meetings last longer than practices, it seems like, every week. You see, you know, people kind of prepare for the calls as they drive to the facility. How much to you is, because, you know, it's different for quarterback, at receiver, at cornerback, at defensive end, whatever. How much to you, for a typical NFL player, is it important to be able to capture that mental side, how academic it is, how smart you have to be to play the game?
As a player, I'm not going to lie, man. Like, I didn't really know at the time, like, how important it was, especially as a young player. I was more so worried about just making the team. I probably didn't realize it until I went to the Chicago Bears, because playing tight end, I had to know everything. I had to know the pass coverage. I had to know the blitz pickup. I had to know the run game. I had to know what pass protection we were in. Am I in the pass protection? Am I in the route? Am I motioning? Do I change the protection? Am I in the backfield? I mean, people have been sending me clips that I don't even remember some of these games, but there was like 6 or 7 plays where I'm in the backfield. Like, I'm blocking, protecting the quarterback, scanning across. And I don't even remember that. Like, I mean, my guess is they probably say, look, you got one DN or the other DN. That's your options. If you see something come, take it. Like, I don't really remember it, but I do remember with the Bears that's when I realized how important the game is mentally, because I had to play slot receiver. I had to play slot tight end. And so at that point, I remember sitting down with, I think it had to be like Brian Urlacher. I was at his house and we were all over there like gambling, having fun. And I remember thinking like, man, I forgot what guy I was talking to though. And I was like, man, I wish I had known this much about football as a rookie, because I probably I wouldn't have made so many mistakes when it came to like the blitz coming, I'm the hot route, or it's man versus zone. I think a lot of times I screwed up on some of those simple things in the pros because it moves so fast, whereas in college it's not as fast and it's a little bit easier, especially when you're the only outside receiver. Like in the pros, I had to go in the slot, I had to go outside, I had to motion. Like I was the Swiss Army knife. You got to do it all for us. And so It took me a while, like probably 3 years to figure that out. But my 4th year is when I figured it out, which was too late at that point. But yeah.
I'd just like for you to paint the picture of hanging out at Brian Urlacher's house. What was that crowd?
Oh man, it was Lack. Kyle Lorton had just come from Purdue, so he was a rookie. And then the one thing I do remember is Orton. I don't know if he got drunk or he just was drunk and tired, but I remember they like drew on his chest because he fell asleep on the stairs. But like Wale was there, Olagunye, Chris Harris, who we had on our show, the safety, he was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good group of guys that all were, kind of guys that wanted to hang out and just watch. I don't know if we were watching the game or something, but Urlacher just told guys, like, hey, whoever wants to come over can come over. And yeah, it's probably like 10 of us that went over there and just hung out.
Ron, it looks like you're at the softball field. We won't keep you much longer, but let me ask you this. We're getting down to crunch time. We got Gophers football starting soon. Vikings preseason is like a month away. Which of the two teams are you kind of itching the most to get the season going?
I mean, financially both. But I am looking forward to Nebraska because you look at that first one, we got Nebraska, so I think that's gonna be a fun one. And Matt Rule, totally different team. So I am, because I feel like Tampa Bay is gonna be, not say easy, but it's an easier game for the first game of the year. I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk, but it's going to be easier than I think Gophers, Nebraska. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Gophers on a Thursday, and then we get the Vikings, I think, that next week.
Good stuff, Ron. He's got Robert Blanton on his show this past week. Go back and watch that. And plenty of talk about the Pat Fitzgerald drama at Northwestern as well. That's all on the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota, on Twitter at 3RonJohnson, and he hosts the Round Table tomorrow morning with Reggie Wilson, Luke Gendman, and myself. Ron, enjoy your day. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you.
Thanks. All right, let's update the bingo card, and then we'll get into some Luke Braun trivia. So here's where we're at. Holding, stalling. There we go. I've crossed out the stuff I've seen. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the card. If you're listening, we'll try to describe it for you. So I wasn't vigilant enough. Was he described as reliable at any point?
It feels like that is the. So I've got like my little thing. I don't know if the camera will. Okay, that's close enough.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and it's color coded by the episode I noticed them in. So I did not mark down described as reliable or that he's a CEO. Which I'll be honest, the fact that the CEO thing didn't pop up close to it a couple of times when he talks about like emotional regulation and stuff like that, which is obviously like but it feels like the theme of his story was that he is reliable, but they didn't ever say that. Not enough for me to mark it off. Now, Sam, you did miss Tough Times Don't Last. I was going to say episode 3 was the injury episode, the Kings of Pain. I was going to say that kind of counts on its own. It's kind of its own thing. But I was hesitant because it was in quotes. Well, it shows up on a sign in his office. So,
wow, what an observation.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Eagle-eyed.
Like,
Good
that quote
catch.
exactly shows up on a sign in his office. Also, Kirk mentoring backups. That I played with the interpretation there. There's a throwaway line in one episode where he says, let's see if I can find it, where he says,
I feel like I'm reading the IMDb page right now. Just got all the quotes, the facts, the stats.
Episode 5 with about 19 minutes left, 18:55 left. He turns to Nick Mullins and he says, you know what today is, Nick? Today's an opportunity.
Opportunity.
To me, that counts as mentoring.
Count it. That's definitely a mentorship moment.
What was
what a
the
veteran
niche
leader.
interest? I don't
What a
remember
veteran
the
presence.
niche interest part.
I felt like the brainwave stuff was niche enough for me.
Let's see. What did I put down
Really?
as the
I was
niche
surprised that we didn't have one on
I
there.
did too.
That
Oh,
was-
so okay.
Like the
so
whole time we were doing this, I was thinking, like, when are they going to mention the brainwave stuff?
Yeah, me too. Right? Like because there's like a whole ESPN article.
No, like when
about
we were
it.
doing
I
the
wrote
bingo
about it.
card.
Yeah,
I thought
so
you were going to bring up the brainwave stuff as a square.
I should have. So the new niche interest thing, I didn't mark down the brainwave stuff until the very end when Julie was like, Yeah, it was so weird that we mapped our brains on a date, and I was like, "Oh, this is date material." Boom, cross it off.
And she's like, I think everybody should do it. I think all couples should do it.
Like,
Yeah.
do your Enneagram, do your
Yeah,
horoscope,
right, yeah.
do your
Also, you didn't
brainwaves.
mark off Don Cousins cameo, and then you
Oh,
also
yeah.
said, "Does that count as our Don Cousins cameo?" And
No, yeah, I thought of that
think
just
it does,
today.
but I was on the fence.
I think that there was a photo of him. That's a cameo.
Yeah, but we have his words from the scouting report and his image
Yeah.
from the photo.
Yep.
And
That's enough.
images plus audio is video. So we'll count that.
By the way, random, but how about Nick Mullins explaining to Kirk that he can record the plays
Oh, that was
on
good.
his phone and then
Kirk did mention
Bluetooth
this
it
before.
over the truck?
He did mention this in a presser before, but I thought it was good to see it play out.
Oh,
That
you
Nick
did?
gave him
Okay,
the
cool.
advice to. Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was great.
Frugality, I also marked. Where did
Yeah, I
put
marked
it?
that too. They had the thing about his vans. I feel like that counts.
Yeah, when the
The
van
buy
showed
one
up, 'cause
get
in the
one
Washington
table at Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
They shop at
Yeah,
Sam's
that's true,
Club.
yeah. Oh, I get
They
50%
shop
off.
at
It's my
Target.
lucky day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about when he politely asks, "Excuse me, miss, do you work here?" Like in the most
The
polite
person, like, wearing
Minnesota
the Barnes
dad
and
voice.
Noble name tag.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, do you work here?
So good.
polite.
I'm not there yet. I'm very excited though.
And then throws shade at Washington. This is another one where it's like a question mark, and I just kind of went for it. But
Talks
when
about
he
getting
said
drafted, right?
when he said he was drafted, that it was somewhat of a dead end.
Oh,
Yes.
That,
And he
yeah,
also,
that is.
he said of the
he's-
32
yeah.
teams that were going to draft
it's
me.
borderline because he doesn't mean the organization is bad. He's
It's
talking
because
about
he
the fact
got
that
drafted
has
to where
an opportunity.
RG3 was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I felt like
Yeah.
that whole homecoming was very wholesome and everything was like, oh, I'm like so happy to be back. Like
Yeah, so I
spiritually,
had
just
to
couldn't.
read
It
into
was
to
he was
mark
so
it off.
happy to be back.
The guy on the sideline comes off and says, "I beat the cancer."
Yeah.
That was
How
so
It was
emotional.
so
big, man.
sweet.
Praise
So
God.
I couldn't mark that one.
Praise
But
God.
Yeah,
But,
he
like,
was.
we already have the bingo, so my
Yeah.
sabotage failed.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
that's
yeah.
because we
Let's
replaced one
confirm
of
this
yours
because
with
I
the
do
new-
have a vertical bingo here. Julie dressing Kirk,
Yeah.
playing
Oh,
catch with the kids. That was early on.
Yep.
Niche interest we agreed on. Mentoring backups, yes. So kind of had to make some interpretations to get that, but I think it counts.
Yeah,
I think it's legit.
We should have been more. Instead of "if I die, I die," we should have picked something that was like directly quoting scripture or something like that, which you did twice, as far as I can count. I don't
Or like
know
quotes,
the Bible, but it was pretty clear that he was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
like cites quote from like alarming source.
Oh
The
yeah,
Book of Margaret Thatcher.
The Book of Margaret's.
Did anybody kind of like chuckle or laugh at him behind his back at any point?
I did not see any
I
of
don't
that.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would
Felt like
be
that would've
surprised if
happened at
that were
some
in
point,
this thing produced
Yeah,
by
and we
Peyton
got
Manning
so
and Patrick
close to the
Mahomes.
contract mention in the Washington episode because he talked about like leaving Washington for the Vikings, and they talked about how precarious his situation was at Washington, but it just was never close enough for me to feel comfortable counting that as a contract mention.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I was wondering if they would get to that in the later episodes as maybe the season ends and he talks about his future.
Hey,
but
There's 7 minutes left. It's possible. We could
Okay,
even get some
Could
grilling,
happen.
right? So
in
didn't
those
think-
7 minutes, he's well, spoil it for me. Does he curse?
I am confident he does not curse.
You know what? So the way that it ends, the final line, man, I just hope they sign me to a damn contract.
And if I die, I die.
And if I die, I die. But I mean, like
how about we
episode
go
8
grill
is,
some
is
steaks?
basically just about
Over in the
Patrick
church
Mahomes.
parking lot with my family. Just knock them all out.
But yeah,
Yeah,
like,
you could
episode
cross
8
out
is
that
basically
throw
just
shade at
Patrick
Washington
Mahomes.
one, but
They're
that's about it.
covering the Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins like shows up and he's like, "Yeah, I've been to every Super Bowl. I guess it doesn't. Yeah, I don't really want to. I would prefer to be at the Super Bowl for the right." Like it was just like, I was just like, okay. But most of it's about Patrick Mahomes. He does receive the. Does he receive the Bart Starr Award? Because he gives a speech about it.
Yeah.
How about the Murphy door, by the way? How about that secret room?
I don't
The,
think that's a
the
Murphy
notch?
door, but that was
Or the
cool.
notch, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
But
The,
yeah,
the
Call it a
Lombardi
Murphy
notch.
door? Where did I get that? Did he
He
say
called
that?
it a Murphy door. I think
Yeah.
that's incorrect. Maybe I'm wrong.
For the Lombardi?
No, the notch is
Just
for the
the room
Lombardi.
itself.
The Murphy
Oh.
door is the
Oh.
hidden door into
Got
the
it.
room of his.
Secret
I wouldn't
room.
even call it a trophy room. It's like a memorabilia room.
A memory room.
True.
Yeah, but I think it's really cool that he's got all the game balls, and then he's like, "Yeah, people say I'm bad at night games. Well, look at all these night game balls. They wouldn't give that to me if I played poorly. And I was like, that's kind of a flex. I'll give that to you.
Yeah,
That's
I did
good.
like that. Yeah, that was great.
But yeah, the builder was like, yeah, I've carved out a space for the Lombardi. That's only you could only put the Lombardi there, so you got to win one. I was like, that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, no, that was cool. Also, when did he go to Michigan? Like, was that did they just take that from the bye week, or like when did he make that side trip?
I don't know.
Was it after the
kinda
season?
don't- Like there was like I remember them having like I think it might have been during the bye week, but I remember them having like the in Michigan Chiron at the bottom. So clearly they
It was cold too. I mean, it was in the middle of winter, or it looked cold from the
Was it
outside
the
outdoor
week of the
shot.
Detroit game?
Oh yeah, maybe.
Maybe that would have been what, week 4 and at the end of the year? No, when was
Well,
That
it
was
would
like
be the
13,
away Detroit
15,
game that
16.
matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we got a bingo. I don't think Luke Braun ruined it too much. I mean, I think you kept it
I threw in a
fairly-
couple that I knew were wrong as in an attempt to sabotage. I should have.
Which ones did you throw in? Laughed at behind
Family
back?
church outing.
Oh, I thought that was Sam. Oh, okay.
Nope, that was Luke.
That was me.
Family church outing, laughed at behind
Throwing
his
shade
back.
at Washington.
I think because I knew it was like pretty sweet. So I
Well, I counted.
I
it.
think that was one. Yeah.
Were you guys surprised
Yeah,
at
let
how
me out of it.
few like talking heads they had, other than the coach and the wife? I guess I
Yeah.
expected a little
Makes
more.
sense.
Yeah.
There's like a couple
instead
of supporting
having,
people.
Especially
It's
during
about
the
him.
season, you don't want too many distractions too. Now you got other players involved with this side project going on too. I feel
It
like
doesn't even have to be other players, but what they did instead of having like talking heads inside a confessional box is they just played podcast clips, like the Colin Cowherd podcast appeared kind
Yeah,
of
a
a lot.
lot of Cowherd, a lot of Judd.
Zogad mentioned.
Yeah.
Um,
So like that shows up a little bit more.
and it seemed like they kept it. I'm assuming they sat down once for the talking head. With
That's
Kirk
almost
and with-
certainly what it looks
Oh,
like.
he was
with
wearing
Theo
the same.
Sully's.
Everybody was wearing the same thing every
Ripped it
time.
out.
Julie had the
2
same.
hours.
That's
Yeah.
what you look for. You look for the same outfit.
And the way they were talking at first, you can't really tell that this wasn't like contemporary or after the game. But like as the season goes on, it becomes very clear that when they're discussing events that occurred in the season, or as the show goes on, as they're discussing events that occurred in the season, it's very clear that they're like recalling it not immediately. But at first, you can't really tell.
Yeah, they've got the full context, the emotions kind of taken out of it at that point. Yeah, for sure.
It was really cool for Cousins to go over like what his thought process was during the Justin Jefferson catch against Buffalo. Like I thought that was dope because
Right.
he's very perfunctory. He was very like, yeah, well, okay, he caught it, great, next play, and like in the moment, and then he's explaining afterwards, like I don't have time to care. Right? So-
Yeah.
How about the throw against Washington where he's down and he's like hurting? He's like, well, that's what they get for playing man coverage. Did we score?
and then
yeah,
no,
and then
oh,
he
I would have
was-
gotten up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Oh crap! Now I got to come out for a play.
Yeah.
Back to
I'm
the
pretty
Ron-
sure that's the play that precipitated the rest of the rib injury because the very next episode is right before the very next game, and he's talking about going into the cold tub at the beginning of the episode and about the rib.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
So
I'm
the
pretty
ribs.
confident that that's the hit that does. So
Oh,
it's basically half the season he was playing with a good chance he was playing with a broken rib, but at least bruised
Or at least
ribs.
a bruised.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
he
let-
said bruised, but you know.
Let's just get this big picture question out there for all the answer, and then we'll do some trivia. Kirk Cousins approval right now. I think he zigzagged his first 4 years. I think it started out, obviously, a lot of hype, soured quickly, built some equity back in 19, and then probably bottomed out like September of 21, coming off of missed playoffs, started 0-2, 1-3. The vaccination stuff probably hit rock bottom about 2 years ago. And I think has been on a steady climb since. And last year, obviously contributing in a big way to that. Where do you think the approval rating is at right now in this market?
I think that so it's not as high as right after the Saints playoff game, right? I think that was probably, his moment, right? That's when he became a wartime president, I guess. But I think that, which he quickly lost it in the San Francisco game. But I think that if you were to gauge his off-season approval rating, this is probably the highest it's been since he was signed by the Vikings. I think that, and I don't have a great read on kind of the way that Vikings fans writ large feel about it. I have a read on the way my audience feels about him, which is a very particular. It's not like a random sample, right? Because of the way I talk about him and the kind of audience I attract, it's probably lower among my audience than it is among the public at large. But I think that, winning games, having gritty moments, having really phenomenal moments where it's very clear that the reason that you win games is because of him. Like, you cannot deny that. I think that helps. The playoff loss hurts a little bit, but for almost every quarterback, the season ends in a loss or in a bad loss or something like that. But I would say that, it's probably, net favorability ratings like plus 13, certainly better than Biden.
There you go. That's that's all we're looking for. Yeah, Braun, you're a good perspective guy on this. What do you think?
My perspective is like kind of warped from the feedback that like I get on my show. It's very influenced by like the people who listen to me, which I hope stays somewhat diverse, but they're pretty sick of it. I think I get a lot more negativity. I don't know. I think since Kirk has been here, they've made the playoffs twice. Both of those times, they were really not expected to go deep. It was maybe you'll win a game, maybe you'll steal one, but we know you're not going to the Super Bowl. Like, that's the way everybody has treated the team both of those times. And yeah, I think it's higher after those years. Like after 2019, I think is when everyone was the highest on Kirk, because you saw the formula create something that could be at least somewhat successful. But then 2020 and 2021 happened, and that soured everybody. And now I think, I don't know, it's been 6 years, and I think everybody's a little, to me, it feels like it's like 30%. Like, there's definitely that group of people who are fervent Kirk supporters. I don't know if there's anybody that's like, yeah, Kirk is, I guess, good enough. I guess I'll take him. Like, you're either fervently calling him a top 5 quarterback and like fighting with people online every day that say he's bad, or you're totally ready to move on. That's the sample, I guess, that I've been exposed to.
Yeah, I don't feel any differently at all about Kirk's chances to win a Super Bowl. I still don't think that it's possible, especially with this roster. But I think that I'm in a place with him where if he did do something of the sort, I would be rooting for him all the more. Like, I think that he has like improved his personal brand, while also like I think there's still a long ways to go for him to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but I've actually seen him kind of get better, like year by year, like add a little bit here, a little bit there, not mobile by any means, but being a little shiftier, being more clutch, showing more of his personality.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. KOC. Just laying it out right there. So for those reasons, I think his likability is at an all-time high, but I don't think that like that is independent of what I believe he can do as a football. I'm not a believer in him as that Super Bowl guy. And I think he's too costly for that to have on the roster, with that being the case. But I like him. I like him more than I used to. So that's where I'm at. And he remains polarizing. And guys, this is how polarizing. Here's a tease for today's Minnesota Sports Rankem. Luke Gidman and I ranked the 5 most popular quarterbacks in the last 25 years of Minnesota Vikings football. One of us has Cousins on the list. One of us does not. Go listen to the show and find out who.
Like Teddy's got to be number 1, right?
Omitted him. Well, I'm not going to spoil anything.
I really want to give him a spoiler, Sam.
Let's get into this like Monday or Thursday next week. That'd be a good follow-up, Talker. Luke, Braun, we've got a few minutes left. You've got some trivia for us. Let's get into that after a quick reminder that we are partnered with SiriusXM. Download the SXM app. You can listen to hometown broadcasts of all the local sporting events, and you can find Locked On Sports Minnesota programming. That's the Ron Johnson Show, Minnesota Football Party, Minnesota Sports Rankem. And Locked On Sports Minnesota is free and available too wherever you get your podcasts. Luke, Braun, this is your moment. Take it away.
It's my moment. Yeah, I've created some obscure Vikings trivia, obscure facts about players a little deeper on the roster. This
not even
will
historical
be
trivia. Okay, interesting.
No, current players on the roster. These will be answers will be worth 10 points each, and I have a hint that you can take, but it'll mean the answer is worth half credit. We'll start with a slightly less obscure player. one that we've definitely talked about at least. This Viking grew up.
How do we buzz in? Hold on. How do we buzz in?
Just say the answer.
Okay.
Just say the answer.
What about the delay? I feel like the delay is.
Don't worry about the delay.
Issues. Okay.
If I'm the only one on a significant delay, so you guys should be on pretty even footing.
All right.
Which Viking grew up on a walnut farm in Alpine County, California, and might still work there after football, which would make him a seventh generation
This is
farmer.
in my brain. Oh my God, I've heard this story.
Cam Bynum.
Cam Bynum. Incorrect.
I've heard this story. Oh, I don't have an
Avid
answer.
Lindsey
Hint.
Young readers will know.
Hint.
You would like a hint, Sam?
Yeah.
Got to guess without a hint?
I would like to put forth a guess. Blackman.
Incorrect. The hint is that this player was not drafted. He was undrafted entirely.
Okay.
You know what? I'm just gonna Blake Prohl. I don't know. That
Johnny
can't
Munt.
be true. I already know. There it is. Yeah.
Wow.
Johnny
Yeah.
Munt.
Okay.
An inauspicious start. The next question. Which Viking has the fastest 40 time?
Kalen Barnes.
I think Inman got there first.
No. On my
Setting a record.
on my feed without the delay, it was me. But
All right.
it's all about.
good to know,
I'll
Sam.
give
Braun
it to
hears
Inman.
I'll check
How
that
about
in
Braun
editing.
here?
All right. We'll check that.
Yeah,
in editing.
we'll see.
I mean,
we'll
I
see
heard
where it
Inman
is on
first
the
too, so.
edit. If it's not, if I'm wrong,
Hey,
people
it's
can
okay.
tweet about
I don't
it.
want
They'll
any.
hear it.
I don't want
They
to
can
be
frame by frame
handicapped here. No, just give it to Inman. Give it to Inman.
Or Inman won, so you're not giving. me
Kalen
anything.
Barnes set a combine record for defensive backs at the 40 at the combine with a 4.23.
I
Next
bet
question.
I could beat him in a race.
Possibly.
Mhm.
Next question. Which Viking's father was a Harlem Globetrotter?
Oh,
I think Lindsey Young wrote about this too.
I know this.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Locked on Vikings every dayers will know all of these.
Man.
Man, this is tough.
Hold up.
I'm okay. I'm just gonna throw a guess out there. Brandon Powell.
Brandon Powell is incorrect.
Reminder to read Lindsey Young, who writes for Vikings.com.
I do want to guess, but here
Features
before
are
the
great.
hint, I just gotta think through. Gosh, would it mean that they're like northeast based, or probably not? Probably doesn't matter.
The Harlem Globetrotters are not like Harlem, Sam.
Oh, this is brand new information.
The globetrotting part is a little bit more important.
Josh Oliver.
Not Josh Oliver.
Okay, he's a tall guy.
Okay.
Josh Oliver had an incredibly athletic family. That's a pretty good guess. There's like pro athletes all over his family.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Okay. I'll take a hint.
Member of the 2020 NFL draft class.
2020.
If you already guessed, you can guess again post hint. If you
Would
have.
that be that wouldn't be, would it? Okay.
Maybe,
Is
I
it
don't know.
Troy Dye?
It is not Troy Dye.
Josh
Pat
Patel.
Jones. Josh Metellus.
Thanks.
Pat Jones was 2021. It is not Josh Metellus. Do we give?
There's no way it's DJ Wanham. No way.
It is
Ezra.
not DJ1. It
Ezra.
is not Ezra.
Is it not a Vikings draft pick? Are we like, did we?
You are,
Jalen
yeah,
Reagor.
Nope. The other guy they traded for, Ross Blacklock.
Wow.
Ross Blacklock's father, Jimmy Blacklock, toured with the Globetrotters from 1974.
Yeah, was never going to go there for that guess. Okay.
All right, we have gotten one question correct. Fourth one here. This Minnesota Viking was also drafted by the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, Shaq Thompson kind of situation. I'm gonna go with Troy Dye.
It is not Troy Dye.
Jaron Hall.
Baseball player.
Not Jaron Hall, but that's a good guess because he did play baseball, right?
I'll take the clue.
The clue is that this is an undrafted rookie.
Malik Knowles.
Nope.
Cephas Johnson.
I was going to say that.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Good thing I didn't say it. Who would play baseball?
3, 2, 1.
Thayer
Come on,
Thomas.
What's your
man.
guess, Sam? Throw it out.
I said Thayer.
You are correct. It is Thayer Thomas.
Woo!
Was drafted 1,007th in 2019 by the Boston
Not
Red
I
bad.
love baseball
But-
drafts, man.
Prospect, baby.
Sox, but turned it down to continue to pursue football. That's
Well,
5 points to
You're
Sam.
down a $5,000 contract? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And an opportunity to play. He didn't want to play in the go through the minors and the whole thing. He's like, I'm going to keep playing at
Yeah,
NC State.
quintuple A or whatever.
Yeah. All right. This is the last question. Luke Inman has 10 points. Sam has 5 points. Arif has not gotten on the board yet, but this is an opportunity to completely sweep it. There's a lot of points on the board in this last one. There are 7 answers to this question, and you can get 5 points per name and an extra 5 if you name their birth city. Name a Viking who was born outside of the United States.
Junior Aho.
Junior
Who
Aho.
says he?
Junior Aho goes to Arif. Do you know the city?
No.
Daniil Hunter.
Junior Aho was born in Nice, France.
Cool.
Inman, Daniil Hunter. Do you know the city?
No, I
Daniil
don't
Hunter
know.
is
Was
correct.
it Jamaica? I don't know this. No, I don't.
It was Jamaica, but do you know the city?
Mm-mm.
Kingston?
St. Catherine.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I was going to say
Bynum?
that.
That's 2 down.
Bynum?
I think Cam Bynum's parents were from the Philippines, but I do not believe he was born outside.
Quenku?
William Quenku, yes. Hang on, let me
Nice,
Google
nice.
Cam Bynum real quick and make sure I'm not wrong about that.
Well, I didn't have a beat on that. I just knew that he was proud of his heritage.
He was, yes. He was born in Corona, California.
Okay.
William Quenku is correct. Was that you, Inman? Did you say
Yeah,
that?
it
Ryan
was.
Asamoah?
No idea. No idea where, though.
Brian Asamoah was a weird one. I'll get to that in a sec. Do you know
No guess
I
on the
can't see
city
city.
for me.
I
got
think
Douala,
he's-
Cameroon? But
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Interesting.
I think Eskimo's Ghanaian, but I don't know any.
he is. It's weird. So his family moved to America in the same year as he was born. I could not find anywhere if he was born before or after they moved, but both things happened in the year 2000. There's a Chris Thomason article that refers to him as a Columbus, Ohio native. So I'm kind of trusting the
that's-
wording on that,
That's not
but
really.
I'm not 100% sure if that actually counts.
Greg Joseph.
I didn't count him for this as one of the 7.
I'm getting Greg Joseph
yes.
out there. Johannesburg, South Africa.
That is correct. 10 points to Sam.
Sezi?
I do not believe so.
Huh.
So
How many?
got
How
left?
many do we have
3?
left, Braun?
No, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay. Close.
We have 1, 2, 3 remaining that you have not guessed.
Kene?
Incorrect. He is a Frisco, Texas native.
CJ
Alan
Hay?
Ali?
Just kidding.
Alan Ali? I don't think so.
Oliudo?
Oliudo was born in the United States.
Jackie Chen.
I don't think Jackie Chen was.
I think it's from the West Coast.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. You didn't go to college on the West
This
Coast.
is a good question. There's got to be
Went to Pace.
got to be some Canadians.
Oh, that's a good point.
There is one
Yeah.
Canadian.
Oh.
One Canadian that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is tough.
Boy.
I don't think Wilson Huber. That sounds.
Nope. Cincinnati.
Junior-
Big time Bearcats family.
Junior
wow.
Aho. Defense.
That was
That was
our
the first one we
This is our
said.
first one.
Oh, okay. So I get 2 points?
You got. I'll give you a hint. There's one more from the Caribbean. There's one from Asia and one elsewhere in North America.
Patrick Jones?
Patrick Jones.
That's
Oh,
yeah.
Army
Going on a
kid.
military
I don't know why
base.
that clue
Yeah. Oh my
I
god.
wrote
Army
about
kid.
this.
Yeah. As
Wow.
soon
Do
as
you
you
have
said
a
Patrick
guess?
Jones, yeah.
Do you have a guess at the city?
No, I got nothing.
Is
Probably
it
the
in
hardest
Germany?
city to get because
I
it's
got
not.
nothing.
Wait, in Munich? Berlin?
No, he's born. It was Japan.
Japan.
Oh, that's
Osaka?
right. Wow.
No, it was Yokosuka, Japan, military base.
Dang, that's crazy.
Tip of the tongue.
Of course. So we got
Canadian
Two
and a Caribbean.
Correct. The Caribbean, I don't actually know the city, so the country will do.
I don't know, man.
Do we get credit if we say Caribbean?
No.
I'm kind of focused on.
I just guessed Sheldon Day. Is that?
Nope.
It's not Tonga.
Nope. Tonga was born in Utah.
Jawan Williams?
Nope. Tennessee, I think. Nashville.
Luigi
Andrew DePaula.
Villain.
Luigi Villain.
You're kidding.
Ottawa. Oh,
Wow.
shoot, I said the city. I'll give you. You're winning anyways, so I'll give you. The
Yeah,
compliment.
okay.
Luigi Villain, Canadian native.
Wow. Okay, so we got one left. Caribbean, you said?
One left from the Caribbean.
Davenport? Marcus?
Not Marcus Davenport.
Jalen Rager?
Throwing darts up here.
Not Jalen Rager. I'll give you a hint since I believe Inman has clinched it. And this was going to be the tiebreaker. He is the youngest father on the Vikings roster.
Doesn't know me at all.
Also, did you know
Louis
by the way,
Sean?
Louis Scene.
oh,
Wow.
very good.
Do you know what country?
Wow. I don't. No.
Haiti.
Oh.
Born in Haiti. and
Yeah.
Sent to the United States as a young
right.
child.
That's right.
This is just an interesting observation on Junior Aho underage. It says NA on the roster.
He's timeless.
Yeah, it's not
Not
listed.
available. Why? Does he not have an age? Birth certificate?
No idea.
Weird.
I'm
They
pretty sure you
just
would need
didn't
one to
put it on the
emigrate
website.
here.
That was fun. And frustrating because
Final
I
score.
should have known. Yeah. Inman swept that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
killed it.
Inman killed it. 15 points for Sam, 5 points for Arif.
Yeah, I got the
40
international
points.
player. Wow. Go me.
Go me.
And
That was a fun game
40
though.
points.
Those were very
Yeah.
good questions.
Yeah. Thanks, Braun. Thanks for coming up with that. Good stuff. Football Party returns next Monday. And the roundtable tomorrow with Ron Johnson and Reggie Wilson here on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Thanks so much for watching. Go watch some more Netflix with Kirk Cousins. Have a great day, everyone.